Today is a very important day for Gwent because what we're about to read right now is going to determine how we play the game for the next month, okay? So stick around and we'll go through it together here for the first time. I didn't review it before I hopped on, I just skimmed the page for a couple seconds. So it's also new to me, and I have a new format for today's video. I'm going to be putting the browser source of what I'm reading as I'm reading it on the right hand side of the screen. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of that. Is it tacky? Is it better? I'm just looking for ways to improve these types of videos that I do, okay? I think it might be a little bit smoother than my previous version. If I make any mistakes, you guys can read it yourself in real time. Now, I'm also going to be putting the patch notes link in the description as well if you guys want to follow along separately, okay? So here we are. Now, it's between card drops, so what that means for us is likely going to be a lot of card changes to really help shake things up and get ready for the new cards. And just seeing the length of this, I can tell it's going to be a pretty big patch, okay? So they have the new cycle progression system. This is something that they touched on in the past, guys. Basically, what they want to do is encourage different card set plays, okay? So based on the season that we're in, now being summer, there's going to be different preferred packages, and what they're saying is you can actually unlock different things by playing these cards. And this summer cycle is going to be from 11.6 to 11.8, so we have a lot of time to start completing challenges. And as a content creator, I'm going to make it a focus on these types of things as well, because it's not all about climbing ladder. If you guys love the game, sometimes you just want to play and you want to unlock the cosmetics and stuff like that. So I understand that, and we'll make sure that we touch base, and I hope this is a major hit. I really hope it's doing some good for the game. I'm going to touch on it a bit more when I actually see it, but today's going to be mostly focus on the new cards. Now, we have Musicians of Blaviken being the first change that we're going to go over. And I know it's 6p right now, so this is the one that we're talking about here. Hopefully the sound doesn't drown me out, but right now it's deploy gain randomly, shield, doom, resilience, or poison. And it was just a very lottery high roll type card, right? And what they want to do is make it more playable consistently. I think it's a great card art. It really screams Gwent when you look at it, so it's a shame that it's not played that much right now. We have provisions change from 6 to 4, and ability change to, if you have no other 4 provision cards in your starting deck, start on your ranged row. So basically what they're doing here is they're giving you a thin, but at the cost of not having any other 4 provision cards in your deck. So this could be actually very good in Golden Necker decks, because Golden Necker decks are not very polarized, okay? There's a lot of like 5s and up in those types of decks. Lots of 9s, right? You want to have just as many gold card jams as you can, so I could see that being in there. And some of the decks that were affected, you know, with some of the Golden Necker indirect buffs would have been Magic Compass with, you know, Skellige, and then Vivaldi Bank with Syndicate. Now we get a little bit more consistency, making that just a little bit better. Now you could also put this, I'm sure, in just about anything. Maybe a Shoop deck too would work just fine because it's gold. You don't need a duplicate, right? If you're not running dupes, then you could just do 5s and up on a Shoop. Like, there's so many different things that you could do with it, but it's not busted in the way that everyone's going to be playing it, because personally, I think 4 provision cards are like really good playmakers, and they have a place in Gwent, okay? And you'll notice that I jam like 6 of them minimum in my decks, because there are just good cards that set up, you know, 7 to 8 provision cards that set up 12, 13 provision cards. So this is going to see play, but it's not going to be ridiculous, and I'm fine with that, right? We have Phoenix added, new part of the ability, deploy gain 5 vitality. I believe Phoenix right now is, I want to say 10, but I don't think it's 10. There we go. So at the start of the round, if Phoenix is in your graveyard, banish it, then spawn Phoenix hatchling on a random allied row. This used to be crazy. Back in old Gwent, you used to be like, oh my gosh, 4-point carryover going into the next round, holy, right? Now it just feels so power crept. I've never seen this being played in the last 2, almost 3 years. You know what I mean? So the fact that they're giving gain vitality, it makes it come back, and it makes it worth, like, let's say 9 if it sticks. I don't think it's going to see much play, but people are going to be trying it out. Okay, so you're going to see like an influx. People are just like playing the card for a couple days, and then there might be maybe one deck that can justify it in the long run, you know, but other than that, I don't think it's going to see like a crazy amount of play. And I think that's good for neutrals, right? You don't want the same neutrals in every single deck, otherwise the game just gets boring, right? It looks like they're really paying attention to past behaviors and learning from those experiences and just making sure that these patch notes are solid. So that's pretty cool. We'll definitely try Phoenix out at some point. Again, not overpowered. Now, Narug is probably like the highlight of the patch. When I was just opening up the tab, I saw the word scenario and I flipped out. So we're going to have to pull this up. I think it's a 9 at the moment, right? Reg. There you go. I'm surprised I don't have this in premium. That's probably one of the next ones we'll do. So right now it's Spawn Cataclysm on an enemy row for 4 turns. Decent, right? Decent. But it's still not great, okay? This could be good with Maddock decks. It could be good with, you know, the dragons and all that, but we'll see, right? It's changed, so we don't have to worry anymore. So now it's an artifact. Spell tag replaced with scenario. You got it, okay? And then provision cost changed to 13. So it's our first neutral scenario, guys, which means like the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want, okay? Now, the scenario will progress whenever you play a gold. Sort of similar to the new scenario for Nilfgaard when it comes to the cultist, right? You got to play like a gold to proc it, but we'll see how it goes here. Prologue, Spawn Cataclysm on both enemy rows for 2 turns. 3, 6, 9, 12. If it hits, no armor. Okay, that's actually kind of good. Chapter 1, damage an enemy by 5. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, we're doing damage here, guys. And then Chapter 2, spawn and play Clear Skies. Now, I have to confirm later on if Clear Skies has any changes, because we haven't gotten there yet. But as of right now, it doesn't exist. No, I'm kidding. There we go. So boost all units on an allied row by 1. So we have to see, again, is this going to be changed later on? But for right now, let's just say that Clear Skies does this, okay? We'll find out by the end of the video. So we have Seraquan. Ability change to deploy, damage an enemy unit by the number of units you control. And Seraquan's that cool tiger, right? The cool tiger that everybody wants to play that no one plays. There it is. You know, this would be good with shield wall though, because you could put a shield on it, you know, it's decent, right? But boost health by 10, timer 2. That's not half bad, honestly. It's just 12 for 8 conditionals, it's kind of hard to make it stick, right? There are other things that can just do better. Now, damage an enemy by the number of units you control. So if... And it's on deploy. This is crazy. If you're playing Arrakis Swarm, if you're playing a Non-Devotion Firesworn, if you're playing Deadeye Ambush, you know, this is actually better than Yavin, pretty much, right? Because it's not limited to row, it's limited to what you control. So this looks kind of nuts. If you're playing Precision Strike and you swing out basically your Sentinels and you get like a waylay spam, you drop this guy after, right? It's kind of cool. I think there's going to be a lot more uses for this card. This card doesn't feel like a meme. It actually feels like something that could get some really good payoff. If you are doing like a Witcher Swarm of any type, I could see this being pretty good, right? So, interesting stuff, needless to say. And I'm excited to try this one out. Now, we have Scepter of Storms. Added new part of the ability. Order increase the roll effect duration on an enemy roll by 1 turn. Talking about this one here. So basically, what are we adding? Adding a new part, so we're spawning, and then it's okay. So it's also increasing the duration. I think what they're trying to do is make this even better for like a Golden Necker Rain, because what happened was they put a lot of effort into making Rain better, but it didn't really work. And most people just went towards the beasts. I know I put out a beast deck, then a Renfrey deck came after that had just every beast you can think of, you know. So now this has a little bit more synergy with either the Cataclysm stuff for later or, you know, the Rain stuff. And hey, even maybe one day a Non-Devotion Frost comes back, right? I don't know. decent. I don't think it's game breaking. I think it's just a little bit of extra balance, because otherwise, what makes this better than just playing fog, rain, or frost? There has to be something that justifies the extra provision, right? Because it's not like this is order, it's on deploy. So really, it's not better. The only thing that makes it better is it's an artifact for Golden Necker. So yeah, the extra little bit, good stuff, good to see it. Now, Skellige Storm now has the nature tag. You know, is it not 7? Oh yeah, they buffed it, right. So Spawn Storm on enemy row for 2 turns. Right now it doesn't have any tags. It's going to be nature. You know what, it makes sense. Why don't we start putting all the cards that are actually weather related as nature tags? Even if there's no synergy with, let's say, Qcento, you might as well call it nature. It is what it is, right? Now, again, that's just a tag change. It's nothing really notable, but maybe you can put this in like a non-devotion symbiosis, get a little bit of AoE, you know, and it could be kind of cool, right? So there you go. Now we have Tempest. I'm assuming 6. I think it's 5. There we go. Purify 3 adjacent enemy units and damage them by 2. My buddy Jeff loves this card. I don't play it. Maybe we'll see what happened to the change here. So provision cost change from 5 to 6. Ability change to play all copies of Biting Frost, Impenetrable Fog, or Torrential Rain from your deck. Holy crap. It's like a Simlast for nature cards, but like not a Simlast. There's no body. And it's 6. Okay, that's good. That's good. Literally, a special that thins 2 specials is cool. Okay? 6 provision. Damn, I'm gonna be throwing this in decks, man. Literally, this should be the thumbnail so far. Actually, Ragnarok, but still. That's really good. I can't wait to actually tell everybody about it that doesn't know. Good stuff. I'm happy about that, actually. It makes it worth playing old school weather stuff, and people love that about Gwent. Like, if you play Gwent and Witcher, you know, early Gwents, like, you love row effects. You love to see the board change colors, man. So this is Gwent at its heart, right? At its soul. So I'm happy with that. Wolfsbane is the next one we're going to be talking about here. So now has the organic and alchemy tags. Ability change to set an enemy's power to 1. What? It's like basically a Spores and some. No one played this card right now. We tried to, I wanted to. You could do it if you set up like the perfect conditions, but it's not ideal, okay? Damage all units with even power by 2, damage all units with odd power by 2, pick one kind of thing, right? Now what we're doing is we're setting an enemy's power to 1. I guess if you're playing this in Arrakis Swarm, what you could do is if something is like, actually, it's not even resetting it, it's literally just changing it, so it doesn't even have to be boosted. So if someone plays a Hail or a Spear Tip at 18, you set the power to 1. That's actually a ridiculous swing, right? If they play Patricidal Fury leader ability and they have the Arnyal, if you take it from 13, you put it to 1. Every deck's going to have a Point Slam card, usually. So this is actually really cool there. And in the case of Arrakis, you're also getting the token spawn because the organic and the leader synergy, and then you're getting the Glusty food. That's disgusting. And in terms of alchemy, I don't see the vision too much, but I think they just made it alchemy more for like a lower standpoint. But again, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure you can still use it in, let's say, your Druid's deck and you'd be just fine, because it does play as like a tall punish without the risk that Spores has. And I've been cutting Spores just because I've been finding, is Spores playing usually for more than a Squirrel? Is Spores playing for more than a Peller? It's been hard to get a good Spores when you have Heat Wave and stuff like that already. So Wolfsbane could actually be something worth taking a look at. So something to think about. The next ones I'm going to talk about are sort of just like a trio. Okay, so Biting Frost. Whoops. So Biting Frost, this one here, and then the Clear Skies again, right? This guy. And then we have the, just put in fog, this one here. So they just said that all these are changed to nature, okay? That's pretty much it. However, Clear Skies is also getting a provision buff from the 5 to the 4. So going back to what we're talking about with the Ragnarok, when you spawn and play Clear Skies, the card didn't change what it does, it changed what it costs, okay? So 4 provision is fine. King Cobra, I'm excited about this one actually. Power changed from 3 to 2, we don't really care. Armor changed from 1 to 0. Again, I don't think we really care. It's a deploy ability. Provisions changed from 5 to 4. That's the big one. King Cobra. Look, there are so many decks that I'm like, what if I just make like a poison such and such deck? And I can't, right? Because literally, like, this card's too expensive. I just wanted to go like all poison with like these and like the stratagem and like everything, right? Just kill it all. And now we can a little bit better, right? King Cobra, 2 power, no armor, fine, but it's 4 provision. That's pretty nice. And this with Moral can basically make like a poison package for any faction, right? Because Moral's in at 9. I'm gonna scroll till I find him. Probably just better to type him in. There we go. So you see this with the Cobra play, that's what I'm talking about. That's that Merchant's expansion at its finest, you know? So we got some poison, guys. We're feeling pretty good about that. Who doesn't like poison? Now, Spring Equinox now has nature tag, provision changed from 4 to 5, ability changed to boost an allied unit by 0, increase the boost by 1 for each nature card in your starting deck. Whoa. Non-devotion symbiosis is looking proper right now. I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, we're going to experiment with that on patch day, probably. I like playing control on patch day, but I don't know. We'll see. I gotta do something, right? We gotta figure it out. Even just like a monster deck that's like, there's so many ways. Foglets, okay. At least I'm getting excited about it, right? The ideas are flowing before the cards even changed. So that's a good sign. So we have Spring Equinox. We're talking about this one here. So the boost by 1 for each nature card in your starting deck part's actually disgusting, because if you go and just spam nature cards in your deck, like 2 fogs, 2 rains, 2 frost, that's 6 right there, right? And then the fact that it's going to 5p, you're basically getting... I mean, you'd have to go a bit deeper with natures to get the big payoff, but it's... just right there, you see that it's playing 6, but 6 for 5 is not great. You got to go a bit more. It's got to be, again, you got to have like... could pull off like 10 natures, that's disgusting, right? Yeah, and the next one here, Rain, also has a nature tag. I don't know why they didn't just put this up here, you know, with the rest of them, but hey. Now, this is a big one. This is going to get a lot of traction, guys. Wolfpack got to change. Now, it wasn't the change I was thinking, but I'll take it, right? Wolfpack, people are playing this right now. I believe it's still a joke, man. If you have this in your run-free beast deck, you're reaching, I think, a little too far to get an extra tag. But hey, right? Boost, damage an enemy by 2 is what it does. And it's 2 base power. It's not a very good card, 4 for 4, right? However, power changed from 2 to 1. Ability change to deploy boost health by 1 for each allied unit on this row. So now the card will make sense in your run-free beast deck. Before, it was pretty trash. Now, because you're row stacking for a Triss anyways, it's good. Okay? And no one knew about the change, so you can't justify it yet. But if you've been doing it, you'll get rewarded for it in a couple days, right? Tomorrow. So there you go. Now, we're moving on to the individual factions, okay? We have monsters, Morvid. You know when you haven't played a card for so long, you actually have to search it to figure out what it is. So right now, boost all allied beasts by 1, okay? If you're doing like a beast swarm, that could be good, but usually it's hard to pull off that archetype, okay? So what they're doing is power change from 6 to 1, provision change from 8 to 12, at the end of your turn while in hand, deck, or graveyard, increase own base power by 1. That's just a point slam. It's a relic. It's a relic. So what you can do is take Morvid and use it to proc like Self Eaters and all that type of stuff. Use it to get Sabbath and all that type of stuff. And then, you know, at the end of your turn while in deck, hand deck Graveyard, increase the base power by 1. So even after you've played it, you're setting up like an Osril for later. You're setting up... I mean, that's kind of cool, right? So you could play it round 1 at the end of round 1 for like 8 points, but then just like eat it from grave at the end of the game, you know? Or you can give it resilience with the She Who Knows going into round 3 from 2, and it would be more base power than the She Who Knows, you know? It's, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think it's busted, because Spear Tip's a higher base power. It always will be. But it has more synergy to do Morvid now with the relics, and it's definitely better and more consistent than Yaga and some of the other high provision relics, right? Like if we look... I guess they don't like the S here. There we go. So if we're looking like the high ones here, we can't count really anything that's not monsters, but like we only have a few to choose from, right? She Who Knows can get locked or just yeeted. This is maybe good for 1 leader ability. This is always good. This is not always good. It's very, very conditional, right? I think there's only one meta that I thought was actually a really good card. So having another 12 in there helps polarize relics a bit more and gives us more options, right? So I'm excited about that. I think that's a good change to the archetype and everything, okay? It just... what the card does is totally different than what it did before, which is funny. Now, Fiend, Beast Tag replaced with Relic. They really want to bring back relics, don't they? This card used to be crazy. I think in my second deck guide I ever posted on YouTube, if you guys scroll down, I think I did Death Wish at the time with Yurden, and I thought that was just great. And I had Fiends in there, man. Like, the carryover was awesome. Like, this is like one of the OG carryover cards you probably don't see enough, okay? Boost all Death Wish units in your hand by 1, right? Now, what they were doing to the card, replacing it with Relic, power change from 3 to 8, ability change to deploy, decrease own base power by 1 for each unit on the opposite row. Don't you just throw it for 8 points on like the drop? Like you open the round, you just put it down at 8? That's easy. 8 for 4? Literally always 8 for 4? Because if they go first, they play a card on range. Do you just put this on melee? That's not bad. If you're looking for something to do, like you just throw it down, right? And it's also just a solid 8 slam for Sabbath. Okay, the thing is, it doesn't look like you'd want to play 2 in hand. It would be, you would have to go first, and if you want to keep 2 in hand. You go first, they go second, you go, you know what I mean? But then you'd be splitting up the rows, which doesn't play into Sabbath anyways, but you'd be getting the most value you could on this card. So I think it's better to break it off 1 into each round, but still actually really cool. Skellige is coming up here next. We have Delirium. Whoops. This guy. Now, split damage, 6 damage randomly between all units on an enemy row, okay? So what they're doing now is they're going to be changing the cost from 5 to 8. I realize you can't see my cursor in the browser source, but maybe that's for the best. So, provision cost change from 5 to 8, ability change to Echo. We have another new Echo card in the game, that's huge, okay? Good tool with Lady of the Lake. We have more options for her now. Choose between a random Bronze Skellige Beast and a random Bronze Skellige Human that were not in your starting deck. Then spawn and play 1 you choose and spawn the other to your graveyard. Holy. That's so cool. You put this in anything, man. And I like that it's bronzes. Okay, we have to keep it actually an 8 provision card. To think when Magic Compass came out, it was 8. So ridiculous. Anyways, you're setting up Graveyard for later. You could use this in a Flaminica deck. You could use this in a Warriors deck. You can use this in just about anything, right? I think it's going to be really cool in Warriors because you're going to be able to get those round 1 reses. You're going to be able to set up so many things, right? So I'm excited about that. Like, absolutely. Let's see. What's the last part? When doomed, choose between gold ones instead. Oh, shoot. You know what though? Like, okay, at least unlike, it gives you an opportunity to use that squirrel, you know? If you don't have squirrel in your deck this coming patch, I think you're in trouble. Because this card's going to see a crazy play rate. I already know this card's going to be ridiculous, because being able to get that utility is always good. However, people aren't choosing this for the round 1 play. They're choosing it for the when doomed, you know? So, and keep an eye on people also doing like a little sneaky discard. I feel like people are going to take Coral, they're going to throw it in the bin so you don't see it, and then they're going to just play it doomed, you know? There's going to be a little bit of this and that with this card. So keep your squirrel on deck and keep it ready. That's all I got to say, because when it hits golds, then this thing trades up crazy, okay? Giga Scorpion. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, there we go. Damage unit 6 times, really cool for like Dagger, 2-Blade, and Greatsword and stuff like that, but since Greatsword's capped, you don't really see this card being played that much anymore. It's good in Alchemy. If you're playing Druids, at least you're getting the additional synergies off it, so it just doesn't see much play anymore. It did back around Master Mirror and just before, but yeah, it's been kind of lost for a while. So it's changing to damage a unit by 1/6 times, or split 6 damage randomly between all units on the enemy row. You know, I think that's a very good change, because this will help, let's say, Reckless Flurry. You want to be able to bring back that leader ability that not much people play that leader ability, right? Now, if I swing with the 2 leader charges and then I throw this, we're talking about an actual reach, like a really good board wipe potential. Get rid of like 3 engines in one little sitting. So I could see that being huge. Plus, with the dagger getting the buff to 9 provisions, Dagger 2-Blade, then this card just feels even better now, because if you don't have a 6 to hit, you can at least split them up. You know what I mean? So I think that's really good. And we have Ulfidin. I want to say I said that right. There we go. We got... I thought that was a V the whole time. Now... damage an enemy unit by half its current power. Beast. I've been seeing a couple people throw this into the new run-free decks. Even so, even when I think they got like a 7 or 8 damage on me, and I still felt like, you know, for 7 provision. It was like 12 for 7. That was like the best situation that you see. So I'm curious to see what they did to it here. Power changed from 4 to 6. Provision changed from 7 to 10. Out of the new part of the ability, Bloodthirst 3, damage an enemy unit and units adjacent to it by half their power instead. Okay, look, it's a cool card, right? It looks scary, it looks like it's supposed to do big things, and then when you actually play it, it feels underwhelming, right? Now it actually looks like it's good, okay? 10 provision instead of 7 provision. It's not a significant change. Like, if you're gonna play it, you're gonna fit it. And then the Bloodthirst 3 part plays into PF. If you're doing PF beasts, if you're doing PF just regular Sov, if you're doing PF warriors, I guess you could afford to maybe throw in 1 beast. I probably wouldn't do it as much in that case, but there's gonna be a lot of just ways to do it. Pirates could be good because you're dishing out Bloodthirst with the Corsairs and your boats and all that. So it's a card that you could just play, I think, in most Skellige decks, but, you know, it's not like an auto-include card, I don't think. Because you still have to stack, like, you have to rely on the opponent getting a good 3-stack, and then you hitting that 3-stack. Otherwise, it doesn't get the payoff that we're looking for at 10, right? Northern Realms, huge change to Falibor. This is one that I accidentally saw the name of. I saw Falibor when I was... loading up the page for the first time. We got this guy. Why do I have 2? Whatever. But anyways, I love it so much I have 2 of it. Now, damage enemy unit by 3, deploy, or death blow rather, repeat the deploy ability and decrease the damage by 1. I used to love this card. This used to be like one of my go-to cards when I played Revenants and stuff like that, but sadly, all that is just in the past, and the card needs to be changed. So, power changed from 7 to 6. Ability change to whenever this unit receives a boost, damage a random enemy unit by the same amount. So they're not going to be doing the deploy 3-2-1 anymore. It's just going to be sitting at 6, And then whenever we boost one of our own cards, damage random enemy random enemy by the same amount. I'm trying to tongue twister there. And basically, I could see this being played in a lot of things. So knights would be good, or if you have the knight package, it would be good. Think about it this way: you have the sorceress at 5p, and you've got the immortals. So you're ripping the shield off this, you're getting 2 boost. And then this one here, when it's ripping the shield, it's getting 2 boost. So if you get that trio going down, then you're getting 2, 4. You see what I mean? It's going to be 4 points of damage per turn, from my understanding. Yeah. And then if you also start throwing in knight errants, you know, like that package could be played in shield wall, could be played in anything. But if you start throwing in, honestly, I'm just going to have to like write it now. There's so many 5 provision cards. There we go. So now we get into extra boost. This could be a really cool thing to put into knights. And you have just all the grace stuff and all the boost cards that usually come with knights to help protect Falibor. Right? But it's not going to be the only place you play them. But that's going to be, I would say, the best place to start, right? Kira Met's finally shown some respect. Provision change from 9 to 12, so they're going to do something crazy here, okay? Ability change to... Oh, let's find her. I can't even spell Kira. It's EI. There we go. So, this is kind of cool if you roll it off Temple right now, but you'd never put it in your starting deck unless you're a brand new player and you're just playing at rank 25, right? Because then it's like actually a really good card. But now we have provision change to 12. It's got patience, and then order, play 0 unique bronze spells from your graveyard and give them it or them doomed. So basically, for every patience counter, you're going to be able to play another bronze spell that's unique from your grave. So we could set up a lot, right? We could set up a lot of spells. I don't think you guys realize, maybe we just write spell, how many spells we have in the bronze end. And this is actually really cool synergy too with Adarin, or not Adarin, Alzur rather. So you could play Alzur with that, you know, and just have it just going crazy, okay? So if we're looking at spell, look at all this, right? Bronze, maybe you can even put 6. So we're looking at Northern Realms specifically, okay? There. Okay, well, not Northern Realms specifically. We could also put neutral. You see? It's quite a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff that you'd want to play with mages, you know? So huge, huge synergy there. Great card. The problem with this card is going to be keeping it on the board. That's it. I think it's fine otherwise. If you have a defender, you're doing all right. If you have like a vial on the board and just things to keep it going, I think you're pretty good. But other than that, it could be a very expensive trade down if you can't get patience. And control is always good, so it's going to be tough. But if just such a high reward, I like it. Now we have Tellian. Let's see here. Wait, that's what it told me to write. Oh, it's because I'm on neutral. There we go. So, here, let's clear that. Oh, damn. There we go. Okay. Shuffle an allied unit with a provision of 9 or less into your deck. Then play the top elf with a deploy ability from your deck. Spawn and play a backup plan. If this unit's prepared, infuse self at the end of your turn. Damage random enemy by the number of allied prepared units instead. So what they've done to that is basically, if this unit's doomed, damage an enemy by the number of doomed units you control instead. Because this order is just kind of, what are you doing? Like, there aren't that many prepared units, right? So people weren't even playing it for that reason. They were playing it for a shuffle back and a deploy play plus the backup plan. That's it. The extra part's kind of interesting, you know? So that's really cool. I think it's going to see much more play. Okay, so look out for Tellian actually making a real drop, like when it was like a soft launch before. Now it's like the hard launch of this card, okay? And something you guys are going to be happy about here, so Cargo got a bit of a change. Right now, Cargo basically is a non-veiled, non-prepared, non-neutral soldier, agent, or bandit. And what does it do? Replay a non-neutral agent, bandit, soldier that wasn't played this turn and give it doomed. So it's a replay. Trigger the deploy. So instead of trigger the deploy, it's a replay. So a little bit of a difference there. It gives you more units to choose from, I guess, because you could use units that have orders that have been played and just redo the order, right? Just a little bit more, because what I've been noticing with Heist is I've been playing against people, and then what I do is I'm like, I know you're going to use it for that, and then I'll kill that, and then they're just left with these tokens on the board they can't do anything with, you know? So now they have a bit more variety as to what they can use, and it could be good. And moving on to Nilfgaard here, we got a couple little things left. Hopefully you guys are still with us here. And we have Nilfgaard Dunny, okay? So Dunny is one of those things that's not really played too much. I see it sometimes in Golden Necker decks, but other than that, you're not really playing it. Power change from 7 to 6. Add a new part of the ability. When entering the battlefield, boost self by 1 for each spying enemy unit. Okay, you guys are always asking, what are we going to do for spying? We got to get more for spying. It's such a fun thing. We got it. It's right here. Okay, so Dunny actually is like a payoff card as well. And the power, it says power change from 7 to 6 on the patch notes. I think they meant provision. Yeah. Anyways. Oh, no, they're talking about the actual Dunny. There we go. Power change from 7 to 6. So it's after the flip. This stays the same. It's after, yeah, when entering the battlefield. So you'd have to click to transform to enter. Okay. Boost up by 1 for each. So you could set this up early, get the payoff, and then flip it when the time's right. Fair. Okay? It's got immunity still by the looks of it, which is fine. Now, Mangonel, yeah, they're really leaning into spying, okay? So Mangonel basically is like a siege engine that has orders when you're playing spying kind of thing. It starts with 1 charge, which is not ideal. The fact that they're giving it a 2nd charge on start is really nice. Ping things down for coup. Again, just get the 6 for 4 automatically. There's just a little, a couple benefits there that make this card just more attractive, And I think at this point, with those little changes, you don't have to go all in on the spies, but maybe even like a package could be good, right? You could do a double cross spy thing and just do like a bronze core, Doesn't have to be all assimilate, but there could be something. Okay, now Syndicate's Tatterwing. I have a buddy who plays this card, likes this card a lot. I'm still trying to see the vision, okay, but maybe we'll see it now. Now, power change from 6 to 1, provision change from 7 to 11. There's a lot of these like dragon looking cards with low base power starts, eh? So, ability change to immunity. At the start of the game, set power of all units in your deck to 1. And own power to 25. Why would you want that? Power changed from 6 to 1. Provision changed from 7 to 11. Ability changed to immunity. At the start of the game, set the power of all the units in your deck to 1 and own power to 25. What are we doing? Is there something I'm missing? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this and where you'd play it. Because unless I have a deck that already has very low base powers, then this card doesn't feel very good. Now, if we're looking at Syndicate, right? You could play these, you could play these. Like, but that's like the bronze end. I guess you could play a lot of specials. Actually, there you go. If you play mostly specials in your deck, then it impacts you less. So lots of crimes and stuff could be good. I guess it doesn't really matter with Azar because you're getting the tokens off it. Or things that just major boost. Actually, this could be good in Bounty as well because Hail already starts at 1. Right? Flying Redanian would start at 1, but it would come back from grave at 3. Maybe it's a little bit of a meme. Gourd, I don't think matters too much because it's only 3. Yeah, so I'm looking at it like if you're playing a lot of crime cards, that's really cool. If you're playing a lot of things with low base power, that's really cool. And if you're playing things that are already starting low that are going to go high later, that's fine, right? And I guess you could do like a self-reset if you wanted to. I don't know. But cool. Interesting. Regardless, we'll see the vision, but I don't see it 100% right now. Now, one of the things, if you guys haven't seen the deck guide I put out yesterday, this is a really big one. So Oxenfurt Guard is busted when used correctly. I have it in line pockets. The deck guide's up. Just check my last video before this one. Now, the problem with the card is that it has a cooldown of 1. And I think that was a good way to balance it. The fact that it doesn't have a cooldown anymore, they removed it, right? So now you can use it multiple times per turn, which is massive, okay? You use it, leader, use it, leader, use it. Like, we're talking about like a 12-point swing, like 4, 8, 12. And if you're doing full leader, geez, you know what I mean? So why do I have 2? Whatever, I'm just going to keep all these copies, or 3 rather. Either way. But yeah, this card, guys, you have to watch out for this card. This is going to be a card that you're going to want to remove. Before it was like, yeah, it sucks if it's there, but I don't necessarily need to remove it. Now it's like, you better take care of that thing, okay? And the game fixes certain order abilities with cooldowns no longer become selected at the start of the turn. I wasn't experiencing that problem, but maybe you have, and that's fixed. And Emir Van Emrys can no longer target immune units, which shouldn't be the case anyways. Playing Calpy, or should I say Calpie for you guys, can now correctly be cancelled. Sure, like any other card. And then Naiad Fledgling can no longer trigger Vitality when Symbiosis only appears on the opponent's side. Okay, yeah, makes sense. That's pretty much it, man. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you excited about the patch tomorrow? What decks are going to be playing first? And yeah, just your thoughts overall on any of the cards that we discussed or anything that I missed. I'd love to hear it. Let's open up the discussion, guys, and get ready for a new patch. I will see you soon, man. Like, literally, I got to get on my thing, man. I've been posting more lately, and I've been liking it. I've been having so much fun, and it's just, I got to get back to that 1 video per day, man. If I literally, I'm coming for it, okay? I swear. We're going to make it happen. But, guys, patch 11.6 is going to be a banger. We'll see you soon. Thank you.